Hello everybody, and thank you to the College of Further Education for inviting me on behalf of Guernsey Electricity to come along and be part of Guernsey's International Women in Engineering Day. I'm Alex Herschel and I'm the Environmental Sustainability Manager at Guernsey Electricity. As my title suggests, I'm not technically an engineer. I actually graduated from university with a degree in marine ecology and then did a Master's in Applied Marine Science. But I have spent 25 years in various engineering related environmental roles over the years, from writing environmental impact assessments for offshore wind farms and the recent GJ1 cable project from Guernsey to Jersey, and preparing environmental sustainability strategies for energy companies such as Guernsey Electricity. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the range of environmental roles and opportunities in engineering in a few minutes. But first of all, I want to touch on briefly on what is going on right now in terms of environmental related issues and how these unprecedented times, be it climate change or other human-made pressures such as COVID-19, are impacting our natural environment, and why there's a real need for passionate women in this industry to drive change and help avoid irreversible impacts on our economy, our society and our environment. So in terms of the title of my talk, this is a famous quote, or the start of a famous quote by a conservationist back in the 1980s to describe the risk of biodiversity loss. The end of the title is that species are like rivets on a plane wing. If you lose one, it might not affect the integrity. The more you lose that stability until you reach the point of potential disaster. Well, jump forward 40 years, and in the space of my lifetime, and since that quote, we've reached a point where our nature is declining faster than at any time in human history. And over that 40-year period, there's been a 60% decline in the population of our wildlife, and current extinction rates are about 100 to 1,000 times higher than the average over the past several million years, and that figure is accelerating. And as this slide suggests, we know that our island is also experiencing loss of species and a gradual erosion of our lower value habitats. So we are in effect losing the rivets of our plane wing, and we need to make it stop, not just for our wildlife, but also for what nature does for us. And I think that's one of the most sort of underestimated points, is just how much nature really does for us. Our nature provides lots of services and benefits, many of which that we have effectively been taking for granted. Flood and coastal protection, soil fertilisation and stability, air and water filtration, pollination and carbon sequestration. And carbon sequestration is effectively the storage and release of carbon that's held in our vegetation and other sediments. But these are all basic services that would cost a lot of money to replace with engineering solutions. But we may well need to start coming up with those solutions in the future if we can't halt our loss of nature. It therefore comes as no surprise that nature loss has been quoted by the World Economic Forum in 2020 as being the third most likely risk to the global economy in the next decade. So when you put into context COVID and climate change, nature loss is third. And you can understand why, that we have to build the resilience of our nature. Climate change isn't slowing down. We need to understand just what its implications are, both on people and nature. We need to help build the resilience of both. And at the core of it is nature-based solutions. So what does all of this mean for women who are thinking about a career in environmental engineering? It means there's a lot to do. It's going to be very challenging yet exciting few decades ahead. Decades that are going to essentially make the difference between whether our environment can keep providing the basic services that we humans need, or whether we need to engineer solutions to replace those services, or at least engineer solutions to slow down climate change and other pressures on our environment. There's also a need for women like me to help decision makers understand what impact our actions are having on the environment, so that the best choices can be made on how to improve how we treat the environment and protect nature. So it is challenging yet exciting times. And for those of you that want to really make a difference, an engineering related environmental role could do just that. So what type of roles are out there that you might be interested in? I think the best way to look at it is in a package is to look at the Global Sustainable Development Goals. Now, these were produced by the UN several years ago with a deadline or a chance to take stock on where we've got in 2030. And they were put together to urge all governments and businesses and individuals to all do our bit to make and build a more sustainable future for all. They address effectively the global challenges that we're facing, those related to inequality, to climate change, to environmental degradation, to nature loss and peace and justice. And you can see from these goals that they include industry, innovation, infrastructure, sustainable cities and communities, clean water and sanitation, responsible consumption and production, all of which require engineering related solutions to help achieve them. But underpinning all of them, you can see there on the right hand side, is nature. It's called there the biosphere, but effectively what that's meaning is all living and non-living parts of nature. So that includes the air, the sea, and all the nature in between. So what this is effectively saying is without a healthy, resilient natural environment, all of the other efforts that we could be making might not be enough to make a truly sustainable future. So when you're thinking about what sort of roles you might want to get involved in, it's definitely worth looking at what could the society be like in 2030 and beyond. We know that there's going to be a change in how we get around. There's going to be move or complete replacement away from fossil fuel transport to electric vehicles. There's going to be a need to change our diet. We've got to move away from more carbon sapping food like meat and fish and dairy products and have more fruit and vegetables. We need to be more sustainable in agriculture. We need to find a way of producing more of the fruit and vegetables that we need. We need to find a solution to single-use plastic. We need to think about the buildings that we're building and how we're insulating to improve their efficiency. All of these have engineering solutions that we could get involved in and we could build a career in. When you look a little bit closer to home in terms of Guernsey electricity and the function we're playing, we recently released a carbon climate change statement and also environmental sustainability strategy. These documents were very much focused on improving our sustainability as a business and also support the island. So that includes boosting energy efficiency, finding ways to reduce on air pollution by less on-island fossil fuel generation, boosting renewable energy solutions, helping to reduce carbon emissions and help combat climate change. If all businesses can do everything they can to do that, small differences or big differences all add up. And all of them require engineering related careers. So please do think about what you could get involved in. So the next slide, no presentation in 2020 I think can be made without at least some reference to COVID-19. You may know that the recovery strategy, Guernsey's recovery strategy is going through development as we speak, the Revive and Thrive recovery strategy. Now, you may have seen in the press and around, there's a lot of enthusiasm and drive from international experts, leaders in business, governments and individuals, really pushing and promoting for a green recovery strategy. If you can think about the presentation that I've given as to why it's so important to have a recovery strategy that focuses and includes the environment, because it underpins everything that we're doing. So let's do what we can to promote environmental engineering roles in the future and getting involved. The other thing I wanted to do is just give you an idea of some things that you could be getting involved in now and whilst you're at school. It's worth having a look at the Women in Engineering Society. I've got the website link there. They've got lots of opportunities and initiatives to get involved in for school age and beyond women. There was actually a virtual work shadowing day that unfortunately the deadline closed on Friday, but it would have been a brilliant opportunity for you to have a chance to just to see virtually what an engineer does for the day. Another area that you could be looking at is you could look at the sort of individual equivalent of the Sustainable Development Goals. They were again produced by the UN. They're called the Good Life Goals. And this, what they're effectively doing is saying individuals, small businesses, schools, you can all get involved in helping lead a sustainable or moving towards a sustainable future. So each of these different Good Life Goals is linked back to those UN Sustainable Development Goals. They include buy better stuff, buy responsibly. If you buy better quality clothes, less likely to shed microplastics, they're going to last longer, it's helping the environment. Walk more, eat more vegetables, save energy, cut out plastic. All of these things, if everybody tries to do their best, it adds up. We can make a difference, we can act. So that's everything from me. I've included my email at the bottom there. Please do get in touch if there's anything you want to know about what Guernsey Electricity does, about opportunities in environmental engineering. Do send me an email. I'm delighted to hear from you. Anyone that I can help promote the cause of women in environmental engineering, I will. So thank you very much for your time today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time and the other presentations.